I'm back! Ooh, that was kind of good. I kind of ate that. Today I thought it would be fun to come back to you. I'm just waiting for that. Yep, there we go. I thought it'd be fun to share my February reading wrap up along with my March TBR. Just kind of combine them. Initially, I was thinking about splitting up these videos, but then, you know, while I have you here. Also, I only read 4 books last month. 4 books to me is still like a good amount, and I feel like that's right on track. Actually, my only reading goal of the year, truly, is to go through my physical TBR. Not obviously all of these books, but to make a dent, because your girl's got a lot of books. Also, I was thinking about going through my physical bookshelf here and kind of purging it, as well as reorganizing it and figuring out what my immediate TBR is. So if you want to see that as a YouTube video, let me know. But let's get into the reading wrap up. So the first book I read in February was actually an audiobook, and this was Disney High. You guys, this was an easy 5-star. This was everything I wanted and more, and I randomly found this book on Goodreads. I can't remember what book I finished, but it was recommended to me, and I went down a little rabbit hole, and I was like, I've never heard of this book ever. It came out, I believe, in the fall of 2024, so it's still a new book, but I still had never heard anybody talk about this, and we need to talk about it. Okay, if you are a fellow millennial who just grew up with the Disney Channel and just loves everything Disney Channel and original movies, you are going to absolutely eat this up. This was absolutely everything to me, and the audiobook was still really good. I mean, it wasn't like the standout audiobook compared to some of these other ones I'm gonna get to, but it was still a really enjoyable read, and it goes through the start of Disney Channel, like how that even came to be, as well as every single show. So it starts with Elizabeth McGuire, goes to Even Stevens, That's So Raven, Wizards of Waverly Place, Hannah Montana. But not only that, you guys, we get the inside scoop on some of my favorite DCOM original movies, like High School Musical, Camp Rock, and I don't know if this makes me like 12 years old, it's fine. High School Musical is one of my favorite movies of all time. I stand by that, and honestly, listening to just like all the work they put into it, it kind of made me love it more. I think they said it won an Emmy against The Sopranos, which is honestly pretty iconic of them. But it was just so interesting to see all the behind the scenes things that went on. If you were someone who grew up with these shows, I think you'll really enjoy this. Then I read The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. This was on Amazon First Reads at the beginning of the month, so it was completely free. But this was just a really quick, really cute novella. I don't rate novellas just because how do you rate them against like a full-length novel? It's just impossible. But last year I actually read my very first Abby Jimenez book, which was in her Improbable Meet Cute series, which was just like a bunch of different authors teamed up with Amazon to do like these little short Valentine's Day novellas. So that was my first little toe into, did that even make sense? Like dipping my toe into the world of Abby Jimenez, because I heard so many good things about her writing. The way that she immersed me and hooked me within a novella, like normally I'm not that hooked on novellas because it's like, how do you really get invested in characters in like 50 pages? But the way she had told that one was so good, and I was like, okay, I need to read more from her. So that started the Abby Jimenez obsession. She's actually from Minnesota, as am I, so we love a Minnesota queen. But I digress, that's not The Fall Risk. The Fall Risk is also a Valentine's Day novella. So if you like her writing already, or if you want to just dive in and like see what she's about, I really like this book. Again, can't really compare it to a full-length novel, but I would love to see this extended into a full-length novel because I thought the premise was really interesting. It was just a quick little palate cleanser. I've been sitting for only 7 minutes and my back is killing me. Is this 30? I'm 31. Stay limber. I was just on my audiobook kick this month for some reason, so the next book I listened to was, what was it called? Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. This was my first Gillian McAllister book ever, and I would give this a solid 3 stars, okay? I really love thrillers, and I've especially been loving thrillers lately because I feel like romance books have just been putting me in such a slump. I don't really know why. They just feel redundant. I feel like that happens no matter what genre you read a lot of. It can happen with thrillers as well, where it's just you're like, okay, I'm seeing this before. I think I've seen this film before, and I didn't like the ending. So that's how I felt with this. You know, like I really love a thriller to keep me hooked, and I was hooked at the beginning of this. This woman wakes up, she's got a 1-year-old, I believe, and her husband's just gone, okay? She's like, where's my husband? And he's not answering his texts, and then she sees the breaking news that there's a hostage situation going on. So she's like, oh shit. And that just gets so much worse when the police actually show up at her door and they're like, your husband is involved. And she's like, oh my God, my husband's being held hostage, what the hell? But then she's told and sees on TV that it's actually her husband holding people hostage. So that just goes against everything, you know, she knew about her husband. And then she finds a note that he left her, and the story unfolds from there. So honestly, the premise was super interesting and different from any other thriller that I've honestly read. Just started to drag for me, and I was like, when is something crazy gonna happen? I feel like I'm more generous with my thriller ratings compared to most people. I just like, if you're entertaining me, you're gonna get a 5-star or at least a 4-star. But this one, it was kind of dragging for me for most of it, and then the twist started coming out and I'm like, okay, okay, I don't know. It just didn't really wow me, but I do think that could be unpopular, so definitely give it a go. I mean, especially with thrillers, I feel like they're so polarizing. Like, so many thrillers, if you go on Goodreads, have like an average rating in the 3-star somewhat range. That's even including some of my all-time favorite thrillers. I always say, just give it a go, see how you feel, and the audiobook was pretty good. Not totally mad about it, but I just, compared to other ones I've read, like this next one, it just can't compare. So the last book I read in February was also one that I listened to on audiobook, and I highly recommend listening to the audiobook versus the physical. Obviously, if you have the physical book, go for it. They're really short chapters. This is definitely a book that I would recommend to get out of a reading slump. So if you're in one, definitely check out Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. This, I think, is my second Alice Feeney book ever. I loved Rock, Paper, Scissors from her, and so why is it taking me so long to read another one of her books? I can explain. No, I can't. This was so good. This is everything that I want in a thriller. This was like 4.25 stars from me, maybe even a 4.5. This book follows Grady Green. He is a writer waiting to hear back from his agent and his team to see if he made New York Times bestseller. So he calls his wife, who's on her way home, to tell her the news when he hears her car screeching, and he's like, oh my God, what happened? And she's like, there's a woman laying in the road, like I have to help her. And he's like, no, do not get out of the car. Whatever you do, that doesn't sound good. So he's still on the line when she gets out of her car, and then she just does not come back. And then it flashes forward a year where he's trying to write his nude book, and he's just really not doing well. On behalf of his agent, they're like, you know what, you should just go to this secluded island, have some time to yourself, have a little reading retreat, and see if inspiration strikes. So the story unfolds from there, and oh my God, it's so good. This was honestly one of the best audiobooks I've ever read, and I've been listening to some bangers lately. The narrators were so good, but it was so atmospheric. I felt like I was listening to a podcast or something. There was music, the crashing waves, there was different little sound effects, the noise of a walkie-talkie or a phone, and it was just so crazy and really brought the story to life. So I highly recommend. I'd listen to it on Spotify Premium. Also, again, the chapters are really short, so it just keeps you hooked the entire time, but the ending just like had me absolutely shook. Twist after twist and things coming full circle. And there's this one twist at the end that oh my God. Let's just say I had to go back and reread some things, and I was absolutely shook. Like, the mind of Alice Feeney is absolutely insane, and this is just such a fun read. If you love thrillers, I feel like you're gonna absolutely eat this up. And if you have read this, DM me on Instagram so we can discuss the ending, because what is happening? So I actually need to stretch out my back before I get into my March TBR. Growing up's a trap. I need to do some like cat cows. This is looking a little sus. You don't need to see that. Now let's get into my March TBR. At the beginning of every month, I love to make a little TBR hopefuls, as I call them. So all the books that I hope to get to in March, I never get to all of them. Like, that would be absolutely crazy. Who do you think I am? I'm also a mood reader through and through, but it's fun to, you know, just create a list to fail. Let's just get this one out of the way. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I just haven't finished it yet. I'm actually also filming a reading vlog, so that will be coming to my YouTube very soon. But I don't know, I just kind of fell off and I need to get back into it. I just need some more Zayden in my life, you know? Daddy Zayden. I need to talk about the book that I am currently reading. I'm gonna film some videos on TikTok like as I'm reading this, or like a little mini reading vlog, if you will, because I am so obsessed with this book. This is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I've loved a book this much in so long. Like, this book finally has me that feeling, like that 6-star feeling where all you want to do is read this book. Like, there isn't an hour, a minute, honestly, of the day that I don't think about this book right now, and I haven't had that feeling in so long. I mean, I guess with Beautiful Ugly, I was like really excited to read that as well, but this one just hits different. If you like Taylor Jenkins Reid, I think you are gonna absolutely love this. This gives me so many similar vibes. It's kind of a mix of Evelyn Hugo meets Daisy Jones meets Carrie Soto. Literally all of those books into one, but it's about ice dancers. The Olympics, there's rivalries, there's scandal, and it's just so good. There's also these different interview pages pretty often, and that kind of gives me that Daisy Jones vibes. And the book is also split into parts, and there's really short chapters, so I just find that like it's so easy to binge. Follows Katarina and Heath, who are childhood friends, become ice dance partners, and their entire journey. I cannot tell you how good this is. Like, I just want to read this all day long, and I cannot believe, like, I started this like 2 days ago and I'm already at the 75% mark, and I'm devastated because I just want to keep reading this. I do not want it to end. Swear to God, this is the best audiobook that I've ever listened to, and that's including Beautiful Ugly, which was probably the best one I'd listened to beforehand, but this one is a whole new level. It definitely gives Daisy Jones vibes where there's different voices, but the narrators are just so good and feel like real people. They just have so much personality and are so fun to listen to. They feel like real people. This feels like you're listening to a podcast, and I just cannot get enough of this. I'm gonna need more from this author immediately. I have no idea if this is her debut novel or not. I really hope not, because I need more. And we're actually reading this for my book club this month, so if you want to join us and join our group chat and just chat all things The Favorites and books and absolutely everything, I will leave the link to my book club down in the description box below. We would love to have you. This is definitely gonna be a top read of the year. Mark my words. The rest of the books I am not as passionate about because I haven't started them yet. First one is is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This has been on my bookshelf for so long. I actually have 3 of them. I don't know if there's 4 of them out or just 3. I've heard so many good things about this, and so many of you are like, Caitlin, you need to read this because I love Chestnut Springs so much, and especially Heartless, and I feel like this is giving really similar vibes. Small town brother's best friend, and it's spicy, and I just like to throw in a spicy book in the mix, especially since I have book 2 and 3 already. I feel like I should definitely give this a go and make some progress on my bookshelf. Another romance read I've been dying to read is This Used to Be Us by Renee Carlino. She is one of my favorite authors of all time. If you've read Before We Were Strangers, Swear on This Life, those are my favorites by her, but I just get so emotional in her reads. I binge them so fast. I always recommend her books to get out of a slump. I feel like this will probably be no exception because there's no book that I've read by her that I didn't just fly through. I love that her romance books have so much more depth to them. I believe this is about a couple who gets a divorce, past and present chapters, and just seeing what went wrong and if they can even salvage this relationship, and I just feel like I'm gonna absolutely cry. But you know, I had to throw a thriller in the mix because I love me some thrillers, so I decided to pick up this one from my bookshelf. I'm literally just shopping my own books. This is The Unraveling by V. Keelan, and all I know about this, on the back it says, this isn't a love story, it's a story about obsession. There's a psychiatrist concealing a twisted connection she has to her patient, or maybe her patient isn't as innocent as he seems, but more than one person hides a secret. Stop guessing and let the mystery unravel. Okay. Honestly, I love going into my thrillers without trying to guess what's gonna happen. Sometimes it pops up into my head, obviously, but more likely than not, I am so far off. It feels pretty short. Yeah, it's like under 300 pages. There is one Kindle book that I'm throwing on here, and that's just because I absolutely have to read this because it's the 3rd book in the series, and I think the last one, and this is Sky Then Sparrow by Bryn Weaver. The first book is Butcher and Blackbird. The second is Leather and Lark. I love them both so much. It's a dark, spicy romance, so if you're into like the dark humor romance with a little bit of thrill, at least the first one was a little bit more thrilling. The second one wasn't as much, but I still really liked both of them. I've just been looking forward to this one for so long. This one's kind of circusy themed. And the last book I have on my TBR this month, which I probably will not get to, but I'm throwing it in here anyway, and this is One in a Millennial by Kate Kennedy. Again, my friend found this for me when we were at the bookstore in LA. I was raving, okay, about Disney High and how I loved the nostalgic feeling and just all of that, like the early 2000s vibes, and I told her if I could find a book like that, I would absolutely get it. So she actually picked this out for me. It just sounds so perfect. It says millennial hot topics including AOL Instant Messenger, purity culture, American Girl dolls, going out top, Spice Girl feminism. Yep, so if I'm in the mood for a nonfiction book, I will definitely be reading this. I love anything early 2000s, it's so fun. So if you read this, let me know because I've never heard anything about it. Please let me know. And if you've read any of these books on my March TBR, let me know in the comments if there's one that you think I should start with, if you think I'm really gonna love. Again, I am a mood reader, but if enough of you were like, no, you're really gonna love this, then I will absolutely start with that. But I would love to know what you read in February, what your ratings were. But I'm gonna go back to reading the favorites, and hopefully I want to finish it, but like I don't want to finish it because it's so good. I love this feeling.